in studio with a guest host filling in, and that will be occurring next week. So I'll be kicking off week's vacation at Retro Metro, and love for you to come out and join me, join Sarah, as we hang out, have some drinks, have some food. They always have some happy hour deals. Usually it's half-price draws and some other things in there as well, and it is just come when you can and hang out as long as you can or want to hang out. No time limit, no reservations needed. It's just folks hanging out and having a good time with one another, hopefully. Speaking of to a good time, Biden is supposed to have his big boy news conference today. I'm still not sure that I understand the origins of why it is his own people started calling it a big boy debate. Have you picked up on any? Did you see any? I mean, I've heard this reference numerous times, but nobody seems to be saying why they determined that it was called the big boy press conference.
I have no idea, but I mean, it just does not make the whole situation look good. I mean, following that debate.
Well, and Jill saying, you did so good. You answered all the questions.
The goodest job.
Yeah, he does the goodest job. And now, okay, he's going to have a big boy conference. And this, if you've missed the big boy conference thing, the referencing, that this isn't a term. It's the White House that's saying this. This isn't an attempt to mock him. At least I suspect it's not. I mean, Karine Jean-Pierre referenced it as his big boy press conference. John Kirby referenced it as his big boy. He's having, and he referenced the fact that Karine Jean-Pierre has said it. He looked to her and said, I guess we're calling it his big boy press conference. What world are we living in? What world are we living in? Gretchen Whitmer on CNN was asked about whether she believes that Biden should take a cognitive test. And she said, well, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I'm fully supportive behind him. I'm in no way, shape, or form doing anything to try to bump him out and eke my way in to fill that slot. No, I'm not in any way, shape, or form. But, a cognitive, it wouldn't hurt. Why not? Well, yes, it would hurt his campaign, and she knows that. Watching these Democrats who want to take his place pretend as if they don't want to take his place, but it's just all so obvious the things they're doing. Gretchen, there was last week at the White House, Democrat governors came together. Biden was going to get with them and convince them that he was doing fine. Gretchen Whitmer skipped out on the funeral of a police officer to be there. Gavin Newsom, you've got wildfires rampant through California, this state of emergency there. He leaves to go to be at this event. And he's doing events. He did one in Pennsylvania recently. He went to New Hampshire, these presidential campaign events for Biden. It's just so icky and cringy, and Gretchen Whitmer, I'm behind him all the way, and then leaks out, just leaks out that Gretchen Whitmer informed Biden's folks that he could no longer win Michigan. I wonder whose side leaked that out. Do we think it was Biden's side? Probably not. But then she comes out, no, I fully believe that he can. By the way, it wouldn't hurt for him to take a cognitive test. That wouldn't hurt whatsoever. It's embarrassing how obvious these people are. How on earth did Gretchen Whitmer anyhow? I think Greg Gutfeld made the comment that he referenced that she's planning another fake kidnapping. I mean, that really is largely what propelled her to any sort of national notoriety. The FBI setting up those schmucks, convincing them to participate in some sort of a potential kidnapping of Gretchen Whitmer. These individuals that had never even met, did not even know one another, and the FBI brings them together. They consistently were trying to get out of it, and the FBI were hire people to come, pay other people to come in, convince them to stay part of the plot. Gretchen Whitmer knew about it all along, we would find out during testimony, yet she portrayed herself as just learning about it at some point and holding a press conference. And, of course, it was Donald Trump's fault, not the fault of the FBI, who pretended as if they were, these potential domestic terrorist and went and recruited people to be part of their plot. No, it wasn't their doing whatsoever. It was Donald Trump. Outside of that, I don't know how it is that anyone even knows Gretchen Whitmer. Yet somehow, and I think it's desperation, I suppose that is the answer. Who else are they going to pick? If I were advising the Democrats, I would advise them, just let it go. Let it go. Write it off. Start planning for 4 years from now with someone or someones that are not known on the national stage. Everyone is tainted right now. Every Democrat on the national stage is tainted. And or horrible candidates. Kamala Harris, awful. Gavin Newsom has helped run California straight into the ground. You really want to take the governor of a state that has the highest percentage of its people fleeing, that has gone from one of a place in this country that once upon a time people would risk their lives to get to for a better life. Now you can't walk through the streets without the danger of stepping on a hypodermic needle, a homeless person on crack, or feces. You have businesses fleeing, shutting down. You have criminals running rampant. And you're like, yeah, the guy who did that, that's who we want as president? If I were advising the Democrats, just strategically speaking, I would say forget about it. Write it off. You can spend 4 years demonizing Trump once again. And in the meantime, get some Democrat governor of Pennsylvania or someone that isn't already seen as a nut or a failure. And just start from scratch. Get rid of the old baggage. We're already beginning to see, I think, some Democrats that are indicating what they believe is the inevitable and trying to, and it's an interesting tactic, instead of throw people into hysteria, tell them it's not going to be as bad as you think. There was a Democrat member of Congress a couple of weeks ago who wrote an op-ed piece. He was the first one writing an op-ed piece saying that Biden should not be the candidate, and by the way, I think Trump's going to win. And he explained, I'm okay with that. Not because I agree with his policies, but all of this stuff, he noted, my colleagues and Biden talking about the end of democracy as we know it, that's crap. It's not true. You know, we're told January 6th is the single worst thing that ever happened to this country, yet we're still here. Biden got sworn in. Everything went on. We're still here. All of these horrible things that my colleagues are saying, it's not going to happen. We need to chill out. There's audio I'll play of a journalist from the New York Times, and he's doing a podcast, and he's talking about how there are some top-level Democrats that are indicating to him that they don't even really understand why it is that some Democrats are getting so hysterical over Trump in terms of the level, and that, yeah, of course, his policies we don't agree with, but come on. Let's get a grip here. It's not going to be that bad. And I'm wondering if that, just for a number of reasons, strategically, I think that makes sense to go that route. For a number of reasons. But also just the mental health of Democrats. You listen to some of them. Now, according to the New York Times columnist, a lot of these Democrats that are elected officials that act as if it's going to be the end of democracy as we know it, they know that's not true. They are just trying to stir up fear and hatred amongst Democratic voters. That's what they're doing. But for those that really, truly do buy into it, what he's explaining is that some high-level Democrats are like, I don't, like, they recognize that it's hysterics. That's totally and completely unnecessary. Anyway, we'll get some audio. Again, it's a lot of back and forth going on. George Clooney, of course, making big headlines yesterday, writing an op-ed piece. Of course, they're all about, oh, Joe Biden's the most wonderful person in the world, but he should drop out. You are not you the Biden campaign's response to that is that, and I am not kidding you, that Joe Biden has greater stamina than George Clooney does. They're arguing that George Clooney's referencing that he saw Joe Biden at a fundraiser, and the Biden campaign is pushing back that Clooney left the fundraiser 3 hours before Biden did. This was a discussion on CNN, and Jake Tapper's like, well, what's the point of that? And the CNN correspondent as well, they're claiming that that's proof that Biden has greater stamina than George Clooney. Totally serious. This is the cartoonish parody that this administration has turned the White House into. Weather in a moment. Right now, the latest news update. The first alert forecast, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. From Color 10 Fox 49, meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sunny 90 for a high today, 69 tonight, sunny 91 tomorrow, 94 on Saturday. What? Sunday sunny, high of 95. Wilder RV, Sportsman RVs, Missouri's #1 open range dealer, new pre-owned financing services, an affordable escape with family-friendly deals starting at $165 a month. Have you stayed at a hotel lately? I mean, it's rare that after you pay all those fees, I don't even know. I guess you could probably, after fees and taxes, maybe find something under $100 a night. It's probably not going to be more than 3 stars. But if you're going to stay just at a relatively nice, safe place, you're talking about probably around $165 for a night. So when you look at brand new family-friendly deals starting at $165 per month at Wilder RV, you can realize how much more affordable it is than perhaps you thought. Highland Ridge RV, Alliance RV, KZ, Venture. I recommend you check out their site. Clinton, Missouri, just over an hour north of Springfield on 13, well worth the drive. People come from all over the country. Wilder RV is a draw for people all over the country, particularly those who know about RVs. And that says something about Wilder RV. You can find them at wilderrv.com. Also, if you forget that, KSGF.com, Nick's endorsements, you'll find them there. Biden's Big Boy NATO News Conference is... we're in a Groundhog Day situation. Every event post-debate is high stakes. Every event is an event that is anticipated as an event that could change the course of things. And thus far, we have not seen that occur. In terms of answering the question, is Biden going to be the nominee or is he not going to be the nominee? These events seem to not make much difference. You had the sit down with George Stephanopoulos. Did not go well. Did not in any way, shape, or form seem to nudge Biden camp from, into thinking about maybe dropping out. It has this momentum that is on the kick Biden out, overturn the Democrat election crew, perhaps adding to it to some degree, though some of those people are backing off. You have increasing high-level people. They bring out the celebrities. What is it with the Democrats and celebrities? It's like any time they feel as if their supporters aren't getting it, they have to bring out celebrities. They bring out the richest people. Like these uber wealthy people like, well, our followers will listen to George Clooney. So they have George Clooney write an op-ed piece that it's time for Joe to step down. It's time for Joe to step aside. He spoke at the NATO event the day before yesterday, the welcoming or yesterday, and it was slurred speech, but other than that, it was standard Joe Biden stuff. Now a Big Boy NATO News Conference. I don't really know that there's anything that can occur at this press conference that is going to change whether or not Joe Biden drops out. It might change the chorus to some degree of those who are saying that he should drop out. Here's what I think is happening is that there are some Democrats who at some points are receiving the messaging that Biden is not going to drop out of this thing. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how many people write op-ed pieces. It doesn't matter how many stories leak out that, well, he's thinking about dropping out. He's not going to do it. If anything, because his family's not going to let him. So you just better learn to deal with it. And in fact, there are some Democrats that have essentially expressed this. Their messaging is not so much. Mark Penn was one of them, Clinton ally. The message wasn't so much that, listen, Joe Biden is the absolute best candidate and he's solid, but he's going to stay in this. He's got the nomination, so you just need to deal with it. This is the way that it is. And there's nothing that you can do about it as long as Biden wants to stay in. So, having a news conference. Also, there was an agreement. It was announced yesterday that Joe Biden is going to interview with Lester Holt. This is an interview. Okay, so first, the news conference is supposed to take place 5:30 this afternoon. I imagine that is Eastern time, so of course that would make it 4:30 here. The Lester Holt interview is slated to air during a primetime special, 9 p.m. Eastern, so that would be 8 p.m. our time. Let's see. What evening is this? Full interview, a one-on-one interview, decision to remain, upcoming interview, NBC. Come on. Monday. Supposed to be Monday. In Austin, Texas. Why Austin, Texas? I don't know. Now, on one hand, you may look at this and go, why does he continue to do this? It does not serve him well. It is not as if he is showing up at these events and performing in a manner that is inciting encouragement or eliciting encouragement. You're not seeing the polls move closer to his direction. Polls for his popularity, polls for his electability, polls for whether or not he should stay in. So why is he doing it? And the belief here is summed up in a Washington Examiner piece. Democrats panic not subsiding as Biden seeks to run out the clock on a swap. So he's essentially what he's what believed to be occurring here is that he's just out there acting like everything's fine, and almost as if as long as he's doing something, it diminishes the likelihood that the anti-Biden Democrats that are trying to overturn the Democrat election are going to be able to come up with a plan, because he's like almost a moving target of sorts. The Washington Examiner notes that Biden's appears to be running out the clock ahead of the DNC, Democratic National Convention, after the dam on his political future bent, but didn't break. Following House Democratic caucus meetings and calls with frontliners concerned about Biden's candidacy for November. 9 House Democrats, 1 Senator, Peter Welch, have publicly called on Biden to withdraw from the presidential race. Of the 10, 3 Democrats spoke out after the caucus meeting in both chambers on Tuesday, from which members left divided. Some thought that there was almost complete unity, or that's what they said, while others felt like they were still not in sync with one another, which is clearly the case. With the convention quickly approaching in a little over 2 months, Democrats have a short window if they do decide to replace Biden as their nominee. The president has declared he is running in the race numerous times in a letter to House Democrats on Monday, in private calls and meetings with groups like the Congressional Black Caucus, and at rallies across the country, which is on display is the ability of Democrats to live in fantasy land. And there'll be the headlines. There was some yesterday, Nancy Pelosi on CNN saying, well, it's Biden's choice and we're just waiting for him to decide. We keep hearing that, well, the president just needs to make a decision on this. Well, in the meantime, Joe Biden is out there every 30 seconds saying, I've made a decision. I am running. I made a decision. I'm not dropping out. I've made this decision. If you want, challenge me at the convention. But no ifs, ands, or buts, I'm in this. And meantime, you still have Democrats out there going, well, we're just kind of waiting for the president to make the decision. Now, if he decides to stay in, we're going to support him. All right? Just want to make this clear. But in the meantime, we just need to wait to find out what he's going to do. Well, he's out there saying, I'm telling you what I'm doing. The Examiner piece notes that comments from leaders and top Democrats about the nomination being Biden's decision are signaling that the panic around Biden's candidacy is not over. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi unleashed a frenzy yesterday after noting that it's the president's choice whether to stay in the race, leading many to speculate about whether Democrats are accepting the inevitable and taking a hands-off approach, or insinuating that Biden's decision to stay the nominee is not final. Meanwhile, House Minority Whip Catherine Clark, a Democrat from Massachusetts, said President Biden is the nominee. There is no light between our caucus and the work we have done with this administration and the work that we will do in the future. As always, the decision is up to the president. Representative Dinah Titus, a Democrat from Nevada, also implied the president has not made a decision yet, despite his repeated confirmations that he has made the decision. Saying, I think we've got to do something fast, whether he decides to run or not. I mean, it is such a farce how they just continue to act as if this is such gaslighting. It is so typical for Democrats and the left. They're acting like he has it. Well, it's just going to depend. He's got to make that decision soon. What does Joe Biden have to do in order for you to understand that he has made this decision? No, we understand. But in the meantime, we'll wait to see what he decides. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. Regarding the desire of some Democrats wanting to overturn the election for the nomination, trying to get Biden to agree just to say, it doesn't, just overturn it, have someone new in there. If they want to have him drop out, all they have to do is put it on his teleprompter. He'll read it. That's a great point. That's so true. If somebody could just get, hack into the teleprompter, probably wouldn't even have to hack in. I'm sure if you walked up and said, hey, here's what we're going to do, they'd be like, have at it. Like, I'd like to announce today, after much consideration and talk with my family, I've decided that I'm going to drop out and I'm not going to accept the nomination for president of the United States. He would read it. And I don't know that he'd even at some point go, oh, no, wait, what? No, I don't mean that. I don't know that he'd even comprehend what was going on. So that would be a way to really move things along. It's a very good idea. I've got some audio coming up. A couple different sources. One, The Daily Show, of all places, sat down with 6 black people. to ask them, among other things, whom do you plan on supporting for president? And they were not getting the answer that they thought. Also, audio of some callers, Charlemagne the God, the black radio host who I think he has his own show on Comedy Central. I believe he filled in on the Daily Show some, but you know he's become to some degree a spokesperson for the temperature of the black population as somebody in New York who has a radio show and takes callers from mostly black residents, and some of those callers are essentially saying what you and I have been saying for some time, and that is, you know, this guy is not with it. I mean, this is insanity, and it's just an insight into what, on an anecdotal level, black Americans actually believe versus what the media tells us that they all monolithically believe. Traffic update, I'm Nick Reed. A1 Custom Car Care, all of your car care needs. That includes tires now, not just, oh, I got a flat, can you plug it? But purchasing of tires. And that's very convenient for a couple of reasons. One, because they're fantastic at what they do. Quality work, guaranteed. But at the same time, it saves you time. You're busy. You have things to do. And oftentimes, particularly if you work a traditional job with traditional hours, you know, you've got to maybe use your lunch break or take off in order to have some work done on your vehicle. And then if you have to get new tires, that's a separate trip. Well, having it all done in one place by the same experts, it is so much more convenient. And that's what you get with A1 Custom Car Care, and all of their locations are fully tire capable now as well. So you can visit any of their locations for any and all of that work, and you can find those locations at ksgf.com under Nick's endorsements. The First Alert forecast, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. From Color 10 Fox 49, meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sunny, 90 for a high today, 69 tonight. Sunny, 90 tomorrow, 94 Saturday. Sunday, a high of around 95. We will kick off the morning tomorrow at Scramblers, Friday Roadshow, sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting and powered by 3M Window Film. And then at Retro Metro, we'll be having our happy hour from 4 to 6. The Daily Show correspondent Joshua Johnson did a segment in which they got a panel of black tri-state area voters to speak with them about who they support for president. Now, of course, we understand that if you're black, you have to vote for Joe Biden. Otherwise, you're not black. That's the very non-racist declaration Joe Biden made 4 years ago. So one would presume that having a panel, 6 black individuals, that they're all going to be supporters of Joe Biden. This is what was discovered.
Okay, so who will you be voting for in 2024, Daryl?
Do I have to say his name? I don't want to, but more than likely it's going to be Trump.
Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Who are you going to be voting for?
Biden.
And then Victor?
I'm with her.
Oh, Biden, okay.
Trump.
Eric Trump?
Biden.
Biden?
Trump.
Okay, we're an even split, which I didn't see that coming. So do you think there's going to be a big shift, any sort of change?
I think it's going to be a big shift.
Me too.
Big shift?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
For me, I've always been a Democrat, and it's like for the most part with the Democratic Party, they always make a bunch of promises that they can't deliver.
You know, they use the issues of the African-American community as a soapbox to stand on and make promises, you know, just to get us to come out and vote. And then once we vote and everyone's in place, it's like, well, what happened?
Yeah. I mean, does anyone want to dispute that? This is a reflection of largely what Trump campaigned on 8 years ago to the Democrat population, and that essentially is, what do you have to lose? The point being, what do you have to lose? I mean, just to what that African-American woman was saying, who said she's going to support Trump, it's like every election, they come around telling us, we're going to do all this stuff, we're going to improve your lives, we're going to make it better. Then they don't. Then comes election time. Once again, they get on that soapbox and they use this. At what point do you stop punishing yourself? At what point do you stop playing the fool? At what point do you stop being used and say enough is enough? Incidentally, that does not mean necessarily that Republicans, or particularly whatever district they happen to be in when it comes to local elections, that Republicans are necessarily the end-all, be-all answer. I mean, we know to a large degree the complaint that those black individuals who are voting for Trump are making against Democrats, Republicans can make against Republicans when it comes to things like spending and so forth. They run around talking about inflation and how Joe Biden's spending is the problem for that, yet it's the Republican-run Congress that continues to give him the money to spend. So it's, Republicans, this isn't about, everyone needs to vote Republican because that's the right answer for everything and the right answer for these particular voters. But if you continue to vote for people who use you and abuse you, then they're going to continue to do it. You are rewarding them. You are telling them, I'm okay with what you're doing. And that's what that's somewhat anecdotal, but you're talking half. And the fact that I'm telling you, the fact that these outlets are willing to air this stuff is showing that there is a shift. And I think that there is an acknowledged frustration that for the year after year, election after election promises that Democrats have been making to the black population, they are becoming they're becoming less afraid to openly say, we're tired of it. Now, there's still some apprehension. I mean, you heard the one guy there. He's like, do I really have to say it? I think it's going to be Trump. Because he knows the stigma. If you're black, you're supposed to be lockstep, very obedient to the Democrat Party. Otherwise, you, quote, ain't black. Now, according to Joe Biden's polling of a panel of 6 black individuals, half of which say they're going to vote for Trump, it's still 100% Biden because those 3 who say they're going to vote for Trump aren't actually black after all. So 100% of the black people on that panel actually are supportive of Joe Biden. Now, when it comes to the Biden issue itself, I want to play coming up calls into, these are black New Yorkers or at least individuals calling in to the show based in New York, Charlemagne the God, and specifically regarding Democrats and Joe Biden. That next. And the audio I played in the previous segment, in which one of the correspondents for The Daily Show had a panel of 6 black folk, 3 gals, 3 guys, and it was split on how they were going to vote, Biden, Trump. Interestingly enough, 2 of the 3 women said they're going to vote Trump. The reason I say interestingly enough is because statistically, it's been shown that the most dependable group of voters, no matter what you do to them, no matter how badly your policies affect them, black women will get in line and be obedient when it comes to voting for Democrats. That's just statistically what's been shown. So, again, it's anecdotal, but that you had not just 1, but 2 out of the 3 women there saying they're voting for Trump. And what's interesting is the reasons that were given, those who said they were voting for Biden did not articulate any reasons why. They weren't saying it's because Biden is doing this. But those who said they're going to vote for Trump were citing the things that Democrats do. It wasn't even about Trump, but it was about the fact that Democrats use them. And Democrats have done nothing for them other than show up. And you see, it's just, to me, it's such pandering and so insulting. Black churches. I always show up at black churches. The separation of church and state people, the people who claim that Christians are potential domestic terrorists that go around trying to, create this narrative that Christians are dangerous by talking about Christian nationalists. Boy, when it comes election time, they're showing up at that pulpit in black churches. The Breakfast Club, New York radio show, black station, co-host Charlemagne the God. Here are a few callers. And this is just, let me tell you the reason I'm playing this for you. And again, it's all anecdotal. But we get told, oftentimes by national media, this is what black people think. This area does not have a black radio station in which you have black callers calling in and talking about what's going on in the day. When I say black radio station, I'm talking about a radio station that is targeting black Americans or people in that particular area and are talking about issues that are considered to be important to the black community and taking callers to get the thoughts of people as black Americans. We don't have that here. So when it comes to what, quote, black people think in this country, it's largely, we're just told by national media, pop culture. So I think it's interesting to listen to people that are calling in to a show. And this is, again, New York. And a few callers during the Breakfast Club recently.
Hello, who's this? This D.
D, what up?
Hey,
What's
D.
up, D?
No, neither one of them should be president.
Jesus.
I agree with you. Anything else? I agree with you. And so do 1 in 4 Americans. 1 in 4 Americans feel the same way as me and
we
you.
about to lose. We're gonna lose. Donald Trump gonna be our president, bro.
Ain't no we, because neither one of these parties represent me, so ain't no we. But yes, I do feel like President Biden does not give the Democrats the greatest chances of winning.
Oh, represent you, but you were part of America, bro.
Yeah, he is.
So they kind of do.
No.
Well, you have a great morning. Thank you, D. Hello, who's this?
Hey, what's up, MB? What's up, Charlemagne? I don't know if
King.
Jeff's there. What's up, Jeff?
What's
Rick,
up? What's
man,
up?
what's going on? I ain't talked to you in a minute.
Oh, what's up, Rick?
Rick? Where you been at, bro?
Bro, they been having me slave on the slave shit, man. I can't get no time to call in the mornings anymore.
Well, we happy to hear from you this morning, sir.
Absolutely. You know off your chest, Rick.
So my thing is, why are the Democrats acting like Biden hasn't been a horrible candidate from the beginning? The Democratic Party does not promote youth within politics at all, right? They had the opportunity to put young people involved in politics and younger candidates from a while ago. But the minute that Biden got in, he's been horrible. He's been incoherent. He's been making horrible choices. He's been falling left and right. He's been pausing all over the media. So it's like, why are they acting like now because he lost the debate that he's a horrible candidate? He's been a horrible candidate from the beginning.
Hey, when you say the beginning, you got to go way back to when he first ran for president. This isn't his first time.
Yes.
He's never been a good candidate ever. And if it wasn't for all of those unfortunate events that happened in 2020, I don't think he'd be president now.
So the thing about Biden is they've always packaged him up with someone that was good that could overshadow him, right? So he doesn't look like he's the idiot in the picture. But now you can't do that anymore. And I don't even think actually that you can just put Kamala Harris as the representative now. There's a process of doing that, isn't there? You can't just say, okay, we don't want her because they went through primaries and everything, no?
Oh, I don't know the process of replacing him at the top of the ticket. I have no idea.
What's happening? President, I don't think you could just say, okay, we want to just have Kamala Harris run and replace Biden. There has to be some other long process that goes through before they can actually put him in place.
I have no idea.
I implore everybody, stop getting involved in, not stop, but get involved in your local politics and not so much in these general elections, because all this stuff from the parties is smoke and mirrors, man. If you think that Biden was running this country this whole time, we're sadly mistaken, because it's clearly he wasn't coherent. Clearly he's not of sound mind, and they're playing games right now because they have medical doctors that have been checking on him for Alzheimer's all the time, and they're acting like they weren't doing that.
Yo, they had
get involved in your local politics.
Yo, they had a neurologist who specializes in treating Parkinson's disease visit the White House 8 times in 8 months. And they getting upset when you ask about it.
No, that's crazy.
How you getting upset because people are asking how come this neurologist visited the White House 8 times in 8 months? Yes, people got questions about that.
2 years ago, we asked about that it seems like he was showing early signs of dementia, and people got upset and got mad, but it's only what you see. And it seems like it keeps getting worse.
They want us to not believe our eyes and our ears.
All right, so that is from the Breakfast Club. It's Charlemagne the God is co-host of that show, and you're listening to average black folk calling in, and I'm telling you right now, just when you look at the numbers, there is black Americans that are actually talking and thinking and exchanging ideas outside of the permission zone of the Democrat Party is extremely dangerous to the Democrat Party. Extremely dangerous, and you can hear why. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. The Pyramid Roofing Company talk at text line 447-KSGF if you'd like to text in any thoughts, sarcastic remarks. I notice with you folks, about, I'd say a good 40 to 50% of the remarks, varying on any days, sometimes over the 50% mark, sarcastic remark, which I like. I think they're fantastic. I think we've got a disproportionately funny, sharp, sarcastic listenership compared to the general population, and it comes through with a number of those texts. Tomorrow morning we will be, of course, broadcasting from Scramblers, and then we have Happy Hour, Retro Metro. We'd love for you to join us there on Cox and Republic Road. We will be there 4 to 6 tomorrow. News in 60 seconds. Pyramid Roofing Company talk at text line 447 KSGF. A text this morning, listening this morning from the Dells in Wisconsin while sitting on a deck at a condo. Am I normal? Well, I can't speak to that.
That sounds peaceful.
That's what I texted back. Man, I bet it is so nice up there right now. Yeah, I don't know whether you're normal or not. Probably not, but I don't know for sure. Could not say. Yeah, the Dells, that is quite a destination, so I can only imagine as we're looking at, I don't know what the temps are up there right now, but we're going to hit 95 by Sunday. We're back up there again. Next week, I will be on vacation, and so there will be a number of fill-in hosts rotating through. Tomorrow, I'm going to kick off my vacation with Happy Hour at Retro Metro. And you're invited between 4 and 6. You're invited too.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
Of course, it's your happy hour as well.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'll be there.
It's 66 degrees in the Dells right now.
So what are we looking at? What's their high today?
It looks like 84.
Yeah, so it's more, especially for up there. It might even, in terms of equivalency, be warmer than what 90 degrees seems here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You got your regional, sort of what one is accustomed to. What's really, really cold here, I found in the few years that I worked up in Wisconsin, is not really, really cold up there. And what's really, really hot up there, oftentimes to people here, is not necessarily really, really hot. It's what you're used to. That's all. We have Author of the Week coming up next hour, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. Christy Fulnecki, she's got some of her actual job duties as an attorney. I believe she's got a case this morning that is not in the immediate area, so with traveling, she is not going to be able to be with us. But I'm going to do my best. Dad Nabbit, to make sure that you've got some good content anyhow, including some Joe Biden audio yesterday. It's always good audio when I find myself by myself watching the video and then laughing out loud to myself. So we'll have some of that coming up. Let's get the latest news update. First Alert forecast sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sunny, a high of 90 for the day. Tonight clear, 69, 91 tomorrow. Saturday, sunny, 94. Sunday, sunny with a high of around 95. Joe Biden, now where was he? He was meeting with national union leaders at the AFL-CIO headquarters in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. And one of the remarks that he made is pretty obvious to all of us why he was given such instruction.
Not a joke. They're warning me not to take too much time with you all today, but in terms of talking.
I don't know if at this point you should say that. Now, this isn't an uncommon declaration that he makes, in which he's like, well, I've been told not to talk too much. And prior to the debate, now many of us understood that. Prior to the debate, however, there was a portion of the population that don't necessarily follow these things, or they get their news from outlets that have been covering for Biden all this time, and they just thought he was being cute, self-deprecating, like, well, they told me not because, old Joe, he can say crazy things, yuck, 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 and everyone laughs and applauds. But now, I don't know that you should continue to make these jokes because for, again, many of us, who have been in tune with what's going on, it isn't any new. We don't see it in any sort of different perspective than we did before. But a significant portion of the voting population, they do. And well, yeah, we get why. Do you not get why? At the end, the end of the event. So now this is a live feed, okay? The audio I'm playing is from a live feed that is airing this online or somewhere. I'm not sure where. And the event is essentially over. You know, music's playing, and then the microphone is in the hands of a woman, and Joe Biden goes over and takes the microphone from her. And he starts rambling on, and he starts talking about DEI, which, if you aren't familiar with DEI, is something that increasingly is being recognized as very unpopular. This is how it played out. Remember, this is a live feed.
More women, more labor. I'm serious. Think about it. That's who we are. That's why we're strong. We're diverse. We're strong. We got to stop looking at it like it's an accident.
They cut the feed. They're like, he grabbed the microphone. He's talking.
Get him out of here.
Yeah, this is unscripted, and he's talking about DEI, and of course they hear him say, no joke, or not a joke, and you know that's things are beginning to derail. When he says not a joke, I imagine them scrambling, or should I cut it? Cut it, cut it, cut it, and they're all just like, jumping over each other to hit that button. Just that where.
What a stressful job.
I don't know what it is about hearing that. And then visually, it's the different colored bars, if I remember right. You see that. And what it is, though, about hearing him rambling and then that beep, that is so funny to me. Well, and he sounded muffled there, too, because they shut the microphone off. Yeah. That's why he went from clear to where they cut the mic off, but you could still hear him, so then they cut the feed. What a gift the Democrats.
Smartest man in the room.
The Democrats as a party and all you Democrat voters have given us. Just such a brilliant play. You have certainly, when given the option, state after state, primary after primary, caucus after caucus, given the opportunity to choose other options. Collectively, you said, no, this is the guy. What a brilliant display of judgment collectively amongst Democrat voters. To the point that, there is a coup underway in an attempt to overturn all of those elections, every one of those states, from the party that demonizes Donald Trump for wanting to, quote, overturn an election, currently attempting to put him and others in prison for trying to overturn the election. And they're all scrambling openly right now on how to overturn the election of Joe Biden for the nomination. You gotta love it. All of your home loan needs, they reside in one place. It's iwantagreathomeloan.com. Yes, that's right. iwantagreathomeloan.com. Before you take any steps towards purchasing a new home, looking at a new home to purchase, you want to have that guarantee that this is what I'm good for, because that's how the buyer knows that they are entering into an agreement with someone that's serious. Not someone that says I'm good for it, and then you get the process started only to find out, oh, well, wait a minute, we actually ended up being declined. Get that approval done first. It is step one. It's very important. And if you're wavering as to whether it is the right time, just reach out to either of the characters or their team at iwantagreathomeloan.com. Tell them your situation. Everyone's situation is unique. Everyone's situation is different. That is what they're experts at. That is what they are accustomed to, and that's what they can advise you on. iwantagreathomeloan.com, because you do. Don't forget tomorrow being Friday, in addition to being at Scramblers doing the show, our happy hour at Retro Metro. If you do have the notifications activated on your KSGF app, then you will get a notification as to what the Godfather's Friday special is, and that is only announced on the Facebook app. And it's good for any of the area Godfather store, Nixa, Battlefield, Ozark, and Springfield for Friday night. And sometimes it's free delivery, sometimes it's free dessert pizza, sometimes it's a pricing special. But when you do call and place your order, make sure that you note, I want this KSGF special, and note what it is. So that way you can get set up with that. So that is something that you do get on Fridays. Then also through the app and KSGF.com, you can get signed up to win tickets to the 88th Annual Ozark Empire Fair going on July 25th through the 3rd. And if you do win tickets through KSGF, then you are also going to get tickets for the July 25th performance of Everclear with special guest Marcy Playground. So that, KSGF.com. Couple bits of audio yesterday. And, before we get to that, there's a Washington Examiner piece. Democrats' willingness to speak out against Biden plummets after embarrassing leaks. And the story, and this is from yesterday's, hour to hour, the landscape changes when it comes to how it is that Democrats are trying to overthrow the election of Joe Biden as the nominee. At the time of the writing, congressional Democrats are growing less keen to speak out against President Joe Biden's re-election candidacy after leadership began cracking down on leaks of private meetings. Democrats have scrambled as to how to respond following Biden's disastrous debate performance, with most closing ranks behind Biden. Some dissent and concern voiced by members in closed-door meetings were leaked to the press, showcasing the extent of the doubt surrounding Biden's mental fitness, resulting in embarrassment for the party. Democratic leadership responded by cracking down on all leaks, leading many to fear voicing dissent. Now, some of the audio I'm going to play is suggesting that there is accuracy in this, because what you're beginning to hear some Democrats who do speak on this, they're trying to essentially say, hey, it's up to Biden. We're not going to talk about this anymore. Let's move on. That appears to be the position that they're taking, which some argue signals that they have resigned to the fact that regardless of public pressure and public sentiment, all of this, Joe Biden is the one that holds all the cards, that it is up to him what he does. But I would like to point out something that I have talked about prior to all of this chaos, and that is about the they. Prior to the debate, there would be discussions, and immediately post-debate discussions, obviously, about what are they going to do with Joe Biden. And prior to the debate, we've had discussions here, as have so many others, regarding, are they actually going to keep Joe on? Will it be Michelle Obama? Will it this, that? While everyone is talking about that now, prior to the debate, those are conversations that we were having. And when speculation would occur, a thread within speculation that was pretty consistent was the they. Well, I think they are going to do this. Their plan is to get Biden to the convention and then swap him out. Or their plan is to get him reelected and then have Kamala Harris. And what I've tried to express is that oftentimes we believe that there is a they and that they is like a grouping of people that ultimately make all the decisions. And so we try and figure out what's going to happen based off of what the they is going to do. And I've tried to express that I think that that isn't necessarily the case, that there isn't a cohesive they, that in fact within the Democrat Party, if things do begin to go haywire, you're going to have all sorts of different factions. So there isn't this, quote, plan in place or one single contingency plan that should it be decided it's at the point to bail on Biden, we pull the trigger, and this is what's going to happen. And I believe what we're seeing play out here is exactly what I've said for some time is the reality, and that is that there is no official they. There is no, and that isn't that. Again, I'm not saying that there isn't a group of Obama people that have during the administration been calling certain shots, but when it comes to how this election is going to play out and how it is if they are successful in overturning the election of Joe Biden for the nomination in this coup attempt that is currently underway, it's just not as clean and simple as oftentimes our minds lead us to believe, in that there is this grouping of people that just together collectively say, all right, here's what we're going to do. This is how it's going to play out. And all of this messiness that we're watching right now is a demonstration of that. Before we do get to some of the audio, I want to make a point off this Breitbart story. State and local Dems call for Biden to step aside amid rising concern. And it's a story in which they're talking about a number of what you would consider local elected officials. Not local to us, which is part of the point I'm going to make. But they cite, New York Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, Representative Pat Ryan, he's a Democrat from New York, Senator Richard Blumenthal, New York. And this focuses a lot on local New York Democrats. Does anyone wonder what any of the local Democrats in Missouri think about all this? Anyone wonder what Crystal Quaid, she's running for governor as a Democrat. What does she think about this? Does she believe that he should step aside? What about Hamra? He's running for the nomination. Democrat nominee. He's against Crystal Quaid. And we're talking local people. I mean, what is it that the folks do over at the News Leader? I think we know that if the roles were reversed, there would not be a single Republican running for office that would not be contacted by every local media outlet asking them, do you think that so-and-so should step down? Do you think that so-and-so should do this? What do you think about Donald Trump, this and that? And, yeah, I mean, we know that that's how it would play out. There's no curiosity. There's no sense of duty from an outlet like the News Leader to inform its readers, the people in the greater Springfield area, as to what the local Democrats who represent them feel about their party's nominee and where things should go, particularly when we're talking about democracy hanging in the balance. How irresponsible is that? Unless I've missed the front page articles, the in-depth conversations that they've had with the Crystal Quaids in the Democrat Party about the current situation that they're in, about democracy being in the balance, about the Democrats trying to overthrow the Democrat voters' decision in states like here in Missouri. Missouri Democrats had an election. They said Joe Biden is the person we want to have the nomination. The folks at the News Leader do not feel it's incumbent upon them to find out what local Democrats feel about the attempt to overturn their election. I mean, how detached do you have to be from any sort of journalistic instinct for that not to be just almost a default way of going about operating as a newspaper. Because it's this weird world we live in. I'm not a journalist. I didn't even work in the high school newspaper. I've never worked in any capacity whatsoever as a journalist. Never had any interest in it. Sometimes I feel like I have all of these instincts that journalists should have, and people that we're told are journalists that spend God knows how much money getting these degrees in journalism from, places like MU or wherever else, and it's like it seems to be what I would think would be journalistic, curiosity, instinct. I mean, it just seems like such a no-brainer to me. So I don't know if that intellectual curiosity, journalistic curiosity, just does not exist if outlets like the News Leader are totally void of it. Or if they're afraid, they don't want to put local Democrats in an uncomfortable position, because this clearly is not something that is good for Democrats. And as individual Democrats, what do you do? Do you show disloyalty to the party? Do you show disloyalty to the, or do you support overturning the will of and the vote of the election of your own party people? Do you support that? Or do you support someone that clearly is not fit to run a candy store, let alone the United States of America? That puts people like Crystal Quaid in an uncomfortable position. So when you have outlets like the News Leader that refuse, apparently, well, again, I don't know if it is a refusal. This is my point. Is it just the total and complete culture of death of real journalism within newsrooms like at the News Leader, or is it just more, I suppose it'd be a form of propaganda, but just more of the same, operating with the number one goal of making sure Democrats get elected, acting as a political operative instead of a news outlet? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it's a combination of the two. But it should be stunning that you have right here in Springfield local elected Democrats, and Crystal Quaid, who's essentially the head of the Democrat Party in the state, who is not being asked to give her thoughts on her party's presidential nominee, the current president of the United States, who is of her party, and the attempt to overturn the election of him as the nominee. And I say it should be stunning. Unfortunately, it's not. Because in terms of being a worthwhile, meaningful provider of news and information, the folks who run the News Leader destroyed that some time ago. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. All right, we'll get to a number of your Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text messages coming up here. Also, audio Nancy Pelosi turning nasty, asking a black female journalist, "Am I speaking English to you?" Seems racist. How's it racist? I don't know, but that's what we're supposed to do, right? Anytime somebody says something in disagreement with a person of color, it's racist. That's what Republicans have to deal with all the time. So I declare it racist by Nancy Pelosi. Also, Dingle of Michigan being asked about Joe Biden and what appears to have occurred here, and there's just a number of ways to read this, is that Democrats are pulling back to some degree on appearing as if they are proactively trying to get Biden to drop out and instead shifting towards this, let's not talk about it, or, well, it's up to him. It's in his hands. And many believe that this is leadership. Their behavior is signaling that they think that Biden's just going to stick this thing out. He's going to ride this thing out, and that there's nothing that they can do about it, that there is an inevitability factor there. Traffic update, I'm Nick Reed. First alert forecast, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. From Color 10 Fox 49, meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sunny with a high of 90 today, 69 for a low tonight. Sunny 91 tomorrow, Saturday. Sunny 94, Sunday sunny, a high of around 95. Sarah Myers.
Thank you, the Pyramid Roofing Company. Jana wrote, "We are incredibly thankful for Josh. He came out immediately after a huge hailstorm in May to confirm that we have roof damage. He worked very diligently with our insurance adjuster to validate that we needed a new roof, which got approved, all thanks to him. He was very knowledgeable, took the time to thoroughly answer all of our questions, and even got the roofing crew out ahead of schedule. Pyramid was a dream to work with, and also has one of the best warranties around. Thank you so much." And that is one of the many benefits of working with the Pyramid Roofing Company. A lot of roofing companies, they make you sign a contract before working through that insurance process with you, but that is not how the Pyramid team rolls. And they go through that insurance process with you because they understand it can be stressful, it can be confusing, and sometimes drug out, and they do genuinely want to help you. So if it is time for a whole new roof, or you just need to do that free roof inspection, go ahead and reach out to Josh today. You can find all of that contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Right, before we get to some of this Democrat audio, the Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line messages. Let's see. The news leader is afraid to go out and do man-on-the-street interviews because of all the crime that they don't report in the newspaper for Springfield. I don't know if this is a defense of the news leader or not, But I suspect staffing issues also prevent them from, at least with the same amount of ease, to get out on the street and interview people as they were once upon a time. Now, that being said, you can easily go on social media on your own Facebook page and say, hey, we're looking for people to interview, ask questions about this and that. So you don't really technically have to go out on the street in order to do so. We always make fun of the Democrats when they say Joe is the smartest person in the room. The lack of a they is making me think, what if it's true? What if Joe is the smartest person in the room and he's surrounded by idiots who make bad decisions all the time? That might be more scary than a secret elite Democrat Illuminati. Well, think about it. What does that say about other Democrats? Can you imagine other world leaders when they hear, or when they have heard over the past year, people like Karine Jean-Pierre and other Democrat operatives saying that when Joe Biden is meeting with world leaders, that they are all focused in on him. Kamala Harris has said this stuff as well. And I think it was Karine Jean-Pierre, it was one of those two, that just at one point went just overboard with it, and how whenever the world leaders are together, all eyes and ears are on Joe Biden, because he, more than any of them, have the ability to really comprehend the complexities of these world issues, and that they're all just waiting in order to hear what it is that he has to say in order to lead them. Given the interviews that these world leaders have been providing, in which they say for several years now they've known that something is wrong with him, that he has nap time, they have moved their meetings up in order to accommodate his nap schedule, and he still doesn't show up because they're told he's taking naps. He doesn't remember names. Now, can you imagine being those world leaders, and then you watch White House spokespersons, you watch Democrat operatives, you watch Kamala Harris claiming that he runs circles around you intellectually? You feel like, are you kidding me? It's just a great way to foster relations with our allies, is to insult them in such a manner. Regarding, we're talking about for example, the local Democrats, and how there seems to be any absence of journalistic curiosity, or just news leader, for example, feeling compelled to inform their leaders, hey, here's what the leading Democrats in the area think about the party trying to overturn the election of Joe Biden as the nominee. And just all things Biden. I haven't seen any articles with sit-down interviews with Crystal Quaid, for example. I mentioned Mike Hamra. I mean, we're talking local people here. They're both running for governor, these two against one another. I don't know. I'm kind of curious what they think about it. Regarding Hamra, text message, Hamra's family has all the Wendy's franchises in the area. Their signs could display campaign slogans, "We want to kill babies." Yeah, Hamra is big into the abortion thing. Both Crystal Quaid and Hamra, I mean, they're Democrats. They love abortion. It always makes a little more sense if you're a guy that supports abortion, because, hey, you knock up some chick, you convince her to kill your baby, and then you're not on the hook of 18 years of payments. So that, but mothers, there's supposed to be that mothering instinct. And while some animals, they do kill their young, some mothers, after they have babies, that they will kill them off. Generally speaking, mothers just have that protective instinct. And so when you have somebody like Crystal Quaid, who has kids of their own, who can look at them and say, oh, yeah, I think I should have been able to kill you if I just wanted to. That's always a bit more bizarre to me than guys, because guys can be a little selfish in that way. Like, just kill them. Why should I be on the hook for 18 years? So it shouldn't be a surprise that these two that are vying for the Democratic nomination are lovers of the what they believe is the human right to kill their own children. Nancy Pelosi, we'll start with her. Yesterday, she's walking through the halls of Congress, and she is, approached. She's approached by a journalist, ABC reporter Rachel Scott. So it's not some Fox News person. It's not some reporter from Town Hall. It's, not some outlet that the Democrats hate. It's ABC News. And Rachel Scott is trying to get the latest information when it comes to Joe Biden.
Do you believe that waiting so long to make whether or not we can win an election? I think you would get the run for election on that. Any of that right now in the poll.
All right, so am I speaking English to you? Somehow it feels a little bit racist. If it were a Republican that said it, it would be, but it's Nancy Pelosi. So there's been what appears to be a noticeable shift among some of the more well-known Democrats, of course, Nancy Pelosi, former speaker, and saying, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I'm not going to talk, getting frustrated, snapping at the reporter. Am I speaking English? Then you have Congresswoman Dingell, Michigan, and she is on CNN.
I do just want to ask you again if you think President Biden is the strongest person at the top of the ticket to win Michigan in the fall.
He's the candidate right now. And these are, do you beat your wife kind of questions. Who is the strong? Everybody said Hillary Clinton's the strongest candidate. She's going to win. And I told you all in 2015, 2016, Donald Trump was going to win. I loved Hillary, but she wasn't the strongest candidate. What we got to do is go out and talk the issues. And we got to make sure we talk about what Joe Biden's accomplished, what the vision is, what Democrats stand for,
Collectively, if you pay attention, it becomes more and more obvious that some of these Democrats, they've just lost it. And I'm not talking just emotionally. Nothing she said made any sense. First off, this is a do you beat your wife question? No, it's not. You should hope it's not. If you don't know what that reference is, that's reference to asking somebody a question that's forcing them to respond to something that is bad, that just by responding gives it credibility. So if you ask some politician who there's no allegations that he beats his wife, nobody believes that he's a bad husband, but you ask, do you beat your wife? And then he responds, no, I don't beat my wife. Well, right there you have people, why was this question at? Why did he answer the question? And so there's this whole cloud of wife beating over somebody, not because of any evidence whatsoever that he actually beat his wife, but because the question was asked and then it was answered. Asking if you think Joe Biden is the strongest Democrat to be on the ticket, it should not be considered by Democrats to be, do you beat your wife question? Because that's suggesting that supporting Joe Biden is tantamount to beating your wife. This is what I'm saying. She's out of her mind. She starts rambling about Hillary Clinton wasn't. I don't even know what her point was there. This ever-shifting, fragmented, disjointed response that is coming out of the Democrat. It's very unusual. We are accustomed to Democrats being good at a number of things, and one of them is being obedient and lockstep with the messaging. They're very good at that. And part of what is an assist for them is that the media is lockstep, generally speaking, with their messaging as well. And so it's different for us as Americans to watch all these different Democrats, some saying he's got to drop out, some saying, no, we're with him all the way, some saying, hey, he's the candidate, essentially trying to not take a position one way or another, and this spectrum of responses that we're seeing. And if you think that it's different for us, you can only imagine what it's like in the Democrat Party right now. I think yesterday, of all of the comments the Democrats have made, my favorite comes from Michigan Governor Whitmer, who clearly wants to be president of the United States. And CNN host Abby Phillips said, What should he do to shut down the conversation? Talking about Biden. Should he, as some people have suggested, just go ahead and take a cognitive test and demand that Donald Trump do the same? Whitmer said, well, I don't think it would hurt, to be honest, at the end of the day. Oh, I bet. Here's the follow-up question. It wouldn't hurt what? Because I think we know it would hurt Joe Biden, but it certainly wouldn't hurt Gretchen Whitmer's vision of President Whitmer. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. Sarah Myers.
Thank you. Well, if you are looking to take that first step of purchasing a firearm, the first step is finding a great gun shop that is easy to work with and makes that process as simple as possible. And that is why I strongly recommend Quick Draw Gun in Monette. And the reason why I recommend them is because it doesn't matter if you are an expert or it is your first time ever stepping into a shop. They are going to get on your level of expertise and they are going to help you make that right purchase for you. And the team down there, they really do listen to you. They're going to ask you some questions, and then they will give you a couple of recommendations. And whenever I was down there, one thing that stuck with me after I purchased my gun, the staff said, practice, do some training, give it a couple of weeks, and if you are unhappy or you want to try something else, come back. We will help find something that you are going to be comfortable with. So that's what you get with Quick Draw Gun in Monette. Now, if it is time to visit the shop, you can find shop hours, store address. All of that information is going to be housed under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
As I noted earlier, increasingly, if you pay attention to some of these go-to Democrats that are considered top Democrats, they should almost be thankful that Biden is in the room, if you will, on the stage, because he makes them seem normal. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, she's all over the place. We played Dingle earlier. There is video. There's no point in playing the audio because it's all video. We'll get it up so you can see it on our social media and at ksgf.com. Maxine Waters is doing an interview on CNN, and she, as if she forgets where she is, starts messing with her wig. Her hair is a wig. And she's pulling on it and tugging it and like trying to figure out where to put the part. And you're watching this and you're thinking, these are the top Democrats? It is something else. Favorite audio, I think, from a news exchange yesterday. Jake Tapper, CNN, and he is talking with one of the CNN reporters on the White House lawn, and she's reporting on the response from the Biden folks regarding the op-ed piece from George Clooney, because he's an actor, so of course we should listen to him. He's an expert when it comes to these things. And he wrote an op-ed piece, and of course, 3/4 of it is how wonderful Joe Biden is, how brilliant he's been. He's the best president we've ever had, but it's time for him to step down. Listen to this. It does genuinely sound as if it is an SNL parody regarding their response to George Clooney.
For the president. So clearly the gloves are off, Jake.
What does that mean? What point?
The point of that is to suggest that Biden's stamina is better than Clooney's, and Clooney didn't have, eyes on the entire event. That's the response to the Clooney op-ed.
Okay, all righty, whatever. They are begging to be mocked. They are begging to be mocked. That is honestly the response from the White House, is to try and claim. It almost is as if Joe Biden is the one that is writing these responses. Why on earth? It's got to be it. Is it sabotage? Are they trying to make such a mockery of Biden with the idea that, and that's when you really lose, when people mock you. It's not when they hate you. It's not or disagree with you. It's when they mock you, when they find you to be a joke. When the White House comes out with a response like that Joe Biden has greater stamina than George Clooney, the most likely, logical explanation is they are trying to sabotage him. They are trying to make him look like such a cartoonish joke that even his family acknowledges that he's got to drop out of this thing. Springfield's Talk 104.1. Let's do a traffic update. Tomorrow morning, we will be broadcasting live from Scramblers. Friday Road Show sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting, powered by 3M Window Film. We will have happy hour at Retro Metro. If you've not joined us for one of these, it's just friends hanging out. Simple as that. They usually have some half-price draw deals, some other things as well. So you get a little added bonus. And then at KSGF.com, you can get signed up to win tickets to the 88th Annual Ozark Empire Fairgrounds, July 25th through August 3rd. And if you do win tickets, you'll also get a pair of tickets to the July 25th performance of Everclear and Marcy Playground at the KY3 Grandstand. That at KSGF.com. Springfield's Talk 1041. I am Nick Reed. Welcome to the show. Welcome to those of you listening online. Something knocked us off air at around, based off your text messages, 7:54 Central Time. But we are on YouTube, and you can watch us there. That's sponsored by Springfield Wraps, who designed the KSGF studio. Of course, I believe I know someone texted in on the Pyramid Roofing Company talking text line. They're listening on their computer at ksgf.com, our app then as well. So hopefully, those of you who are listening online, it's sort of weird to address something regarding off-air because the people who don't know don't hear it. And the people who already do know do hear it. So it's like, oh, well, you can listen to us online. If you are hearing me, you clearly know that because this is, where you're listening to us. If you can't hear us, then you don't know that, and you're the ones who need to know that. So that's the conundrum that we find ourselves in. So anyhow, our engineer does know, and he's checking it out. The way that it went off, it sounds to me like it's some sort of transmitter issue. I don't know. It just seems like that's something that it would be. For those that are listening online, we will be at Retro Metro for our happy hour tomorrow, 4 to 6 in the afternoon, and we will be kicking the day off at Scramblers with the Friday Road Show. Trying to look on the calendar. Let's see if we have anybody of other than you and I. Let's see, Darren Chappell should be joining us tomorrow. Tim Baker, who is running for lieutenant governor. You probably are not aware of him, but he is somebody that is a Republican running for that nomination. He is slated to join us tomorrow. Chris Wright, he's been on before. He's running for the Republican nomination for governorship here in the state of Missouri. And, of course, Tom Arts will be joining us. And I think Don Carrick, he's going to
he'll
update
be
us on, I think, a candidate.
Anthony.
Yeah, obviously, Anthony for iwantagreathomeloan.com, and then Don for a candidate form. Is that right?
He texted me and he said we have a political town hall meeting coming up.
Okay.
So he's going to fill us in with all those details, 8 a.m.
All right.
tomorrow.
And maybe Brad from Quick Draw. I'm not sure. Do we know for sure? That's kind of up in the air.
Okay. Yet, so
and you never know who else. Those are just people that are going to be or could very well be on air.
You never know who's going to be out there.
Never do know. Never do know. We are going to have Author of the Week coming up here in just a couple of moments. That's sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. Weather also, it's just going to continue. It's going to be hot and sunny through the weekend. So if that's what you like, you got something to look forward to. Right now, the latest news update. First Alert Forecast sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. From Color 10, Fox 49, meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sunshine today, high of 90. Clear 69 for low tonight. Sunny tomorrow, 91. Saturday, sunny 94. Sunday, sunny with a high of around 95. Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. It's Thursday, which means it's time for Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. And this week we have Jamie Truman, who hosts the Truman Charities podcast, a philanthropist's guide to charitable organizations, and is one of the co-founders of Truman Charities, an organization that is 100% volunteer-based. And she has the book Vanishing Fathers. Thank you so much for being with us. This is something that we talk about every so often, just the cultural impact, the real impact of it. And it's something that, politically speaking, so many people, I think even who recognize it, they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to offend certain segments of the population. But I want to start off asking, what prompted you to write the book Vanishing Fathers?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure. And, you know, what happened is that, as you had mentioned, my husband and I started the volunteer-based organization, Truman Charities, about 14 years ago. We raised about $2 million for various charities. And so when I would talk to these founders of nonprofits, and we have about 4 or 5 per year, and there was kind of this underlying issue with, you know, fathers not being involved, but it really didn't spark kind of my real interest until I started my podcast, and that's where I interview nonprofit founders, and I've interviewed, gosh, I think over 100 now. And that just seemed to be coming up every single time I was talking to people, is that these fathers were not there, they weren't involved, they had a very complicated or dysfunctional relationship with their father. And, you know, personally on my side, I grew up and my father was, you know, has substance abuse issues. And so I know personally how that affected me. But it wasn't until I started to talk to so many other people that I didn't, you know, that I finally realized that this is a very large problem in our society.
I'm not an expert in this. I share your belief, and frankly, some of this, I don't even think one needs to be that much of an expert just to understand the realities of it. Some of it does seem kind of obvious, and you know, men and women generally have these, you know, balances where women have certain attributes, men don't, vice versa. And I've always, in my mind, recognized the benefit of having, as a child growing up, a mixture of those two things. But something, listening to you, I was actually listening to another interview that you did that I thought was interesting, is that because in my mind I just saw it as this timeline of shared benefit, but in reality, like the very early years right after birth is generally when the child benefits more from the mother. But then as we grow up and we get to more of the toddler age, that's when the father's characteristics come in to be beneficial. Talk about that a bit, if you would. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. I with my husband. And actually there in my mind, you know, I'm nursing. I would just want to make sure he's fed and he's warm and comfortable, right? Like this is like, are they sleeping? Are they fed? Are they warm? Like those are the 3 things that go through like a mom's head. And that's all I'm thinking about. And I walk into the room and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm talking to my husband. He's like, I'm setting up their 529. I'm like, what? He's like, I'm setting up their college fund. I mean, like the way that the two people think are so different. Like it's the perfect yin and yang, right? And so, and then if you look, say if you're going to a park, let's go to another common sense, you know, observation. So you go to the park and what do you see? Moms, and I see it myself. I'm very over, like we're very nurturing. So you don't want to get hurt. Oh my gosh, don't do that. That's going to hurt. You know, that's how we speak to our kids. We have this nurturing. We really want to protect them. And then the dads come in and there's so much encouragement. They're like, no, go on the monkey bars. You fall. That's okay. Get back up, run. And they have that encouragement that gives kids the confidence to be independent.
You know, there's you can easily find, I'll see them pop up on social media, and it's generally a dozen or so clips, and it'll be under the banner of, you know, hero dads or something. And they're always funny clips like that. A dad catching the kid at the last minute, or doing, you know, pushing the kid on the bike and goes down the hill and it's exactly what you're talking about.
It often is. And, you know, to give, you know, your listeners a little bit of, you know, statistics, is that, and it's really, really astonishing when you look at it. It's, if you look at youth and homeless youth, 90% of them don't have an involved father. 71 youth that have substance abuse don't have a father. 71 high school dropouts don't have a father. 70% of exploited girls don't have a father involved. Like, look how high these numbers are. And so it really is just, it was blowing my mind that we have all of these conversations going on, but we're not having this one. And it's affecting so many children.
We are talking with Jamie Truman, the author of the book Vanishing Fathers. There's at the same time these cultural evolutions that have been taking place. I mean, we're well in them now. And on one hand, it is the toxic masculinity, the demonization of that, while celebrating single moms, celebrating almost as a virtue that there not being a father in the picture. And it just seems as if from the two genders in which a child can most benefit, culturally speaking, they've been formulated into the worst case scenario for the kid.
Yeah, and I think that, and I had a couple people after I did my Fox segment. I had a couple single moms reach out to me, and they were upset about the segment. And I tried to explain. I said, you know what? Read the book, because I have so much admiration and I have such high respect for single moms, because what they have is an impossible task, which is being two people. I was brought up by a single mother, and I saw the sacrifice and how hard it was, because as much as you try, you cannot be the father too, but you'll not stop trying. But it's an impossible situation that they're in, and they just have a much harder job on their hands. And I feel for them. I have a lot of empathy towards single moms. But it should, when we get down to it, we should be talking about what is the optimal situation for a child. And the optimal situation is for mother and father. And if the father, for some reason, and I talked to a lot of people in the book, they had lost their father, or say something happened with the father. The best thing that you can do is you have to, which I saw, is some sort of mentor or some sort of father involvement. Say, I spoke to a woman, and she had lost her husband, and her father really came in to help out, or you know what I mean? So there always has to be someone else helping, because we are built very differently. Biologically, women are, and men are biologically built very differently. So we bring equal traits, different traits to a child to help them become a very well-adjusted, secured, and loved child through their childhood, and so they're well-adjusted adult. And I'm not saying that they won't be without a father, but it's just a little bit more of a difficult road. Well, and it puts a lot more pressure on the mother.
And I would imagine, to that point, the reason that the book is Vanishing Fathers is because that's the component that's vanishing. If it was Vanishing Mothers, that would be just as much of concern as well.
Absolutely. And, as I said when I was talking earlier, I mean, when a baby's first born, I mean, they are so connected to the mother. Like, they are basically, their whole livelihood is based on me being around. So, and we bring other great attributes to this child, but it's just the optimal situation for a child is to have both. And we just really need to be speaking about this. And I don't understand why this conversation isn't happening with young adults. And I mean, they're actually more like young children. When we're going to these health classes and things of that nature, they should be reading about these stats. These little boys should know how important they are in society and what will affect their child if they're not around. And also girls understanding the effect that it will have on their children if the father is not around.
Well, and I wonder, too, as we talk with our author of the week, Jamie Truman, the book Vanishing Fathers, and we think vanishing in the sense that, okay, there's not a man there. Mm-hmm. But as we see more and more boys grow up, as into being a man that also didn't have a father, and at the same time downplaying the importance of fathers, the significance of fathers, how much of the vanishing father is the beneficial personality traits of the man that are missing. So in other words, maybe the father is in the picture, but he has been raised in a way that strips him of those character traits that are so important to pass along to the child.
I mean, that's and that's why I think it's so important for parents to read and children to read, is that we're really embracing those biological traits, because masculinity is very important. And there is nothing toxic about this. And I hate when people throw that terminology around, because masculinity is what keeps society safe. And so, I was talking in one interview and I said, let me explain it this way. I have a husband, I have 3 boys, and if somebody breaks in the house, my husband's the first one down the stairs. And if we have a fire, he's the last. So there should be some respect within that masculinity. When things hit, if, SHIT hits the fan here, we're looking for masculine men to save us. So these traits are they're so valuable within society. And instead of telling children and telling boys that that's bad and that their masculine traits are bad, what we need to be doing is really celebrating those traits, because they are so valuable in life. I mean, it's valuable with my family. Like I wouldn't feel safe unless my husband, if I know he's our protector. Like I know if anything happens and he's going to take care of us. And that's really, and I think that, every woman should feel that way.
Part of what you do in your book, Vanishing Fathers, in order to perhaps make it a little more digestible or relatable, or you share real-life stories with people that may be known by the reader, some better-known people, celebrity status to some degree, who have grown up with the challenges of a vanishing father, but were able to overcome them. Are there any of those in particular that you find maybe you get a lot of feedback on from the reader that says, man, that person's story really resonated with me?
Wow, it's been active, because what I did at the listening store is that I had people from various backgrounds, all different type of circumstances, so people would know that even though you may have grown up without a father and you've had more of a difficult road, it's not impossible at all for you to grow up and be a strong man in society and be a wonderful and loving husband and father. So, it's hard to say, but, I know, we had Victor Marks on there, and he was wonderful. He went through the impossible when he was a child through abuse, and now he's a worldwide humanitarian, helping, hundreds of thousands of children and women that have been through some really terrible situations. And then, I spoke with Peter Grumble, and he was in a cult growing up, and then ended up graduating from Yale Law School, and has been wonderful within society and helping so many other individuals. I interviewed Justin Pugh, he played for the Giants in the NFL, and he was a really interesting one, because I had interviewed him, and we first were going to talk about the loss of his father, and it really turned into this wonderful conversation about the involvement of his stepdad and how he really had so much influence on him. And that's kind of what I had said earlier. It's like, when you have a loss of a father or they're not around, having someone else step in for that role and really taking over is so very important for young children. And that's just a couple. There's just so many other great stories within this. And the greatest, and the really great thing I think about this and in this book is that, I really want it to help so many people. So as many people as we possibly can. So 100% of the proceeds are going to be going to charity for at-risk youth, different charities. So, we're hoping that this will help in so many different ways.
Well, I appreciate you being with us this morning and the book, and I would really encourage people to pick it up, because there is this instinct. You noted, the conversation that you had with a mother that was a single mother and taking offense to this. And people they feel, I think, as you do, sympathy for single moms. And so they don't want to feel as if they are insulting the abilities, that here they are undertaking something that is more difficult because they are a single mother. And I don't want to make them feel bad or as if they're failing, but that's not what this is about. And I think the book is done in a way that can help people realize that it's not about protecting the feelings of the mother, but what's best for the mother and the father and the child as well. The book is Vanishing Fathers. The author of the week, Jamie Truman, Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. You know who's awesome? Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. It's true. Last couple of days, I've shared with you reviews, experiences of people who have utilized her, some for buying homes, some for needing to sell their home, some same time, and that can be very intimidating. With Emily Johnson, you get more than someone who is simply helping you sell the home by letting someone in, showing them around, telling them how wonderful it is, or when it comes to buying. I mean, she's full service. One of the earlier this week read to you that when it came to things that needed to be done, which oftentimes you're trying to sell your home and somebody says, okay, we'll buy it, but hey, we need this fixed, we need this done, we need that done. And because of the relationships that Emily has cultivated over the years in her work and just being from the area, she is a point person on all of that as well, because that can be overwhelming. And you're like, oh, I don't know who a good termite person is, or I don't know who a good HVAC person is, or whatever needs to be done. She does. And she's able to get you connected up and sort of give you that introduction, which gives you credibility, which oftentimes can help you be recognized as not just some other customer, if that makes sense. And it just always helps when you know someone who knows someone. So you get full package when it comes to all of your home buying needs, home selling needs. That's Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. The First Alert Forecast, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sunny day, hot, high of 90, 69 tonight. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sunny, highs of 91, 94, and 95. Yes, the FM we do know is off air. That happened in the 7 o'clock hour. Engineers working on it. Of course, we're streaming live, KSGF.com, KSGF app. Our 1260 AM signal is working, so if you just really do want to listen on the radio, you can switch to 1260 AM, and then also we are on YouTube, so you get the visuals of the show as well as the audio. That sponsored by Springfield Wraps. This is a story that just so perfectly sums up why people who live in areas run by the left cannot have nice things. Sacramento City Attorney's Office warning Target, the store, that it could face fines if they continue to call and report theft. Kid you not. This is from the Sacramento Bee. The Sacramento City Attorney's Office warned a chain retail store that it could face a public nuisance charge due to a large number of phone calls placed to police when thieves repeatedly steal from its Land Park location. This is the world of the Democrats. You go after the law-abiding citizens while crafting an atmosphere in which those who break the law know that they fear no repercussion. You think about that, what message this sends to the thieves. Not only are they not going to come after you, but they are threatening to go after your victims if they don't stop whining about being victims, if they don't stop calling the police to report crime. A person with knowledge of the warning but not authorized to speak publicly due to the fear of retaliation, because, of course, they're leftists. This is what they do with people who step out of line and blow the whistle. They retaliate. The whistleblower told the Sacramento Bee that city officials threatened the target at 2505 Riverside Boulevard in the past year with an administrative fine. A Sacramento police spokesman confirmed the location, a site that prompted heavy ire from Land Park residents due to repeated crimes when asked about the apparent warning. The alleged warning issued by Sacramento city officials and similar actions by other cities across the state prompted lawmakers to add an amendment to a retail theft bill that would outlaw such threats made by authorities. Pursuing legal actions against businesses for reporting crime brought heavy criticism from law enforcement. Alexander Gamelgard, president of the California Police Chief Association, while testifying in December at the Assembly's first Retail Theft Committee meeting, said, "I was also surprised that anyone would ever attempt to make a nuisance case out of somebody calling to report a legitimate crime. I don't think that there is a place for that. The city attorney's office and the Sacramento Police Department were not aware of any threats of litigation," Tim Swanson, a spokesperson for the city of Sacramento, wrote in an email. It is unclear why city attorney Susanna Alcala Wood's office would allegedly resort to issuing such a warning to any business seeking help from the police. Well, I would argue it's not unclear. I can tell you a number of reasons why you would have the city attorney's office in Sacramento telling a store like Target, which is a highly targeted store for theft, why they will be fined if they don't stop calling police to report the crimes. Number one, because they have no interest in prosecuting these crimes anyhow. Now, there are a number of reasons for this. One of the reasons, and we know this because of their own admissions, many of these people on the left feel as if this is simply a redistribution of wealth, that these are people who, just need to be able to get TVs and sneakers and electronics and whatever else they're stealing. And, Target is just a corporation run by a bunch of rich fat cats, and this is simply justice being served. So there are those who feel, I don't know about the left-wing attorney in Sacramento, but there are those who feel that this is justified action. They could also just, frankly, not have the man hours to prosecute such crimes because the soft on crime approach taken by the left leads to, this is a shocker, increase in crime. And when you have more crime than you have man hours to prosecute individuals, then you have to choose which crimes you're going to prosecute. And the crimes such as theft, for example, generally are the first ones to stop being prosecuted because they're nonviolent, and again, they're seen as there's no real victim other than these big corporations, which of course we know are all evil and horrible. All you have to do is listen to the Biden administration, who, by the way, once again yesterday, Joe Biden on the campaign trail blaming his inflation policies on greedy corporations like Target. So those are a couple of reasons, but let me tell you another reason. And this is not just speculation. This is based off of the behavior that we have seen from other left-wingers, whether it's school board policies or how to deal with crime in the cities, is you encourage people or you create policies that diminish the reporting of crime, because you know what that allows them to do? It allows them to show statistics that they can claim show crime diminishing. If you threaten law-abiding citizens with the constant reporting of crime, and you threaten those citizens, as they are in Sacramento, the employees at the Target there, with punishment for reporting the crime, the end result is going to be those individuals stop reporting crime. Well, the crime stats go down. Isn't that amazing? So then it allows these left-wing prosecutors to preside over policy and to implement policy that increases crime while then claiming that you're actually bringing crime down. This is how the left deals with these situations all the time. We've seen it, and this was something that was really pushed during the Obama years on a federal level, the pressuring of school boards across the country to alter, and it was always in the name of race, that these punishments disproportionately harmed kids of color, and so then they alter the definitions of what deserves punishment. We've seen accusations of this occurring within the Springfield Public School District. You implement policies that decrease the number of people that get disciplined because either, again, what sort of behavior gets disciplined, you alter that so that certain behaviors are no longer disciplined, or they no longer are rising to the level of suspension, for example. You change the game. You change the rules of the game so that the outcome is different. Now, it doesn't actually make things better. It just makes it appear as if it's better. A few weeks ago, there was one. It was Seattle, Portland, one of these cities, and there was. Oh, I know what it was. We were having the discussion about this false claim that illegals are less likely, according to statistics, to commit crimes as opposed to Americans, people that are born in America. And there are a number of reasons that the numbers that they provide cannot be relied upon, largely because some of the biggest cities, including New York City and Los Angeles or Chicago, they don't even report their statistics to the FBI. But you also have different communities that have different levels of what gets reported, what gets followed up. You have some communities, and again, these are run by left-wing prosecutors who will change, what category assault falls into, or if you have a bunch of criminals that get arrested for illegal gun possession and assault and a number of other violent crimes, they get them to plea to trespassing in order to knock off the other charges. And lo and behold, look at this. They're bringing down the number of violent crimes in the city. Now, they aren't actually. They just are fixing or rigging the system so that the charges that officially get filed and put on paper don't include the violent crimes. Now, the Sacramento Bee here, writing a story on this, at least kudos to them for highlighting this horrendously rewarding of bad behavior policy of Democrats and the punishing of law-abiding citizens and threatening them with punishment. But the assertion as to, it being unclear why any left-wing city attorney would do this, it's very clear why they do it. They've done it consistently. And by the way, the outcomes are always the same. I love the fact that in December, there was there was testimony being taken by law enforcement in the California Assembly's first retail theft committee meeting. If this is not perfect government creates a problem, then they form a committee to try to figure out what's causing this problem. California has over time increasingly, as every other county and city that is a blue county or city, has had policies that have increased the amount of crime. But out in California in particular, when they kicked up the amount that you could steal to almost $1,000 and you not get any sort of serious punishment for it, it was a green light to criminals. It was essentially telling them, steal up to this amount and you'll be okay. Well, when you do that, you're going to have the result that, of course, occurred. And then on top of that, all criminals, they know it's not the amount of arrests. That's the other number that they rig. They'll kick up the number of arrests and say, look at this. Our arrests are up. That shows that we are really cracking down. But when you have a revolving door, when every one of those individuals, they don't care whether they get arrested. What matters to them is, are they going to serve any sort of punishment that makes it not worth it to commit the crime? And the answer to that in these cities is no. They don't worry about suffering any sort of punishment. When you put into law a green light to criminals, a dollar amount that they can steal without having to fear punishment, and when you develop a reputation to where criminals know that they are not in any way, shape, or form going to actually suffer, you may arrest them, but then they're going to get out on no bail or $50 bail or whatever. You're going to increase crime. And for California to deliberately create that situation and then have assembly hearings trying to figure out why is it crime has increased. It is a demonstration of the lunacy that is the foundation for the belief that government is the answer. Specifically, Democrats in charge of government is the answer. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. John Deere exposed. Filmmaker Robbie Starbuck has made it his mission to root out and expose submission to radical leftist policies by corporations, especially those that rely so much on normal Americans for their success. Starbucks' recent investigation out, not to be confused with Starbucks. This is just the filmmaker's last name, Robbie Starbuck. Starbucks' recent investigation, an expose of Tractor Supply Company, forced the company to abandon its DEI programs and walk back any connection to the leftist politics, vowing instead to focus on real American priorities. Fresh off what is seen as a victory for the American people regarding that outcome with Tractor Supply Company, the filmmaker has turned his attention to John Deere, and what he discovered is massively disappointing. This according to Red State. According to the filmmaker, John Deere's submission to woke policies goes very deep. Deeper than you would think for a company that primarily deals with farmers and rural Americans. He posted a video on X, but breaks down what he found in a bullet-pointed list. This is some of what John Deere does according to his findings. Funding a pride event for kids as young as 3 years old. Genderbread man training. This is, I know of it, though I've not delved deep into it, but the genderbread man is a way of specifically targeting children instead of gingerbread man, using that concept in order to promote the anti-science, anti-biology, make-believe world of gender fluidity. While, again, using the childlike gingerbread man as a way to target kids. According to his findings, John Deere asks employees to list their preferred pronouns on all communications. Bill Gates is listed as their largest shareholder. John Deere celebrated their accounting and finance team taking United Way's 21-day United for Equity program. When I did United for Equity program, it promoted Ibram Kendi, the woke children's book Anti-Racist Baby, Awake to Woke to Work, a podcast on the concept of whiteness, which of course is white people are evil, woke activist Robin DiAngelo, bigotry against Christians who have what they call Christian privilege, and more. The filmmaker found that the woke policies have spread across the global John Deere brand, with many of their DEI policies also being forced on their Latin America and India branches, LGBTQ and race-based identity groups at corporate, and a total commitment to the massively destructive and divisive diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Also having a 95 out of 100 CEI score from the HRC. HRC's Human Rights Council. The CEI is the corporate equity and inclusion, I believe. It's proving how woke you are. It's essentially a test or a survey, a ranking system is probably the better way to put it, in order to prove how far and extreme to the left you are. 95 out of 100. Noah Wall, executive director of the State Financial Officers Foundation, added that the only reason John Deere had a 95 out of 100 instead of 100 out of 100 from the Human Rights Campaign is that they provided all of the required benefits, which include paid transition for kids. They just forgot to make a guide for the benefits. So they forgot to, make a little pamphlet making sure that parents knew that if their 6-year-old child was convinced to have their private parts lobbed off and forever scarred in some sort of Frankenstein surgery, that it was a benefit covered apparently by John Deere. On top of all that, John Deere announced massive layoffs and are moving their factories from America to Mexico. According to Fox Business, operational costs in the United States, as well as lack of sales for tractors, forcing the company to rid itself of hundreds of employees from across the nation. And so that, I imagine, for a lot of people is unwelcome news when it comes to John Deere. This is the real unfortunate aspect of this contagion, this infection. The horrifically divisive and what we've seen on college campuses, ultimately dangerous ideology of DEI, and to have these massive corporations utilizing it in order to further divide us as Americans and their own employees against one another. When you are promoting that, Christians are privileged and oppressors as part of your DEI training, and you have Christians in your once upon a time, we were told that you were not supposed to discriminate or harass based off of race, based off of religious affiliation. That has been transformed to, well, unless you're white. Well, unless you're a Christian, because you're bad, so you don't count. You don't need protection, because you are the evil attackers. People need protection from you. And apparently that is an ideology that John Deere is all in on, according to this filmmaker. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. Tomorrow morning, kicking off the morning at Scramblers, as we will broadcast live, sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting, powered by 3M Window Film. We will also have our happy hour at Retro Metro from 4 to 6. And at KSGF.com, you can get yourself all set up and registered to win some tickets to the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds. The fair is coming up. That'll be kicking off soon. And if you go to KSGF.com and you get yourself registered for that, if you win, you're also going to get tickets for the Everclear with special guest RC Playground performance at the KY3 Grandstand, which will be on July 25th. Wisconsin election law has only one way to exit from the ballot, and that is death, as increasingly Democrats look at the laws that could prevent them from overthrowing the Democrat election for the nomination. It appears in Wisconsin, death is the only allowable reason for a candidate to drop out once the certification takes place, which I believe is June 1st, so it's well past in Wisconsin. It states very clearly and very specifically that a candidate's name cannot be removed unless that candidate dies. Now, this, of course, is assuming that this would be considered a roadblock to Democrats if they had any interest in following the law whatsoever, but we know how that goes. Glenn Beck's next. Talk with you tomorrow. I'm Nick Reed.